So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video today here on the channel. Hope you guys are doing well, and recently I decided to take a look at the PUBG zombie mode. This is something that maybe not all of you have played for yourself or really ever seen, as it's gone through a lot of changes and iterations as time has went on. I think the only other time I've ever played the zombie mode was when PUBG was very early on in its primitive state, and it was such a bare bones mode, and it's changed a significant amount since the last time I played it. So today I kind of wanted to revisit it and talk to you guys about what are my thoughts on the mode, because in its current form it really is an absolute joke. But that being said, I see a ton of potential that this mode has to offer, and I understand that not a lot of PUBG players even get on Battlegrounds to play zombies. This is a very fringe mode and not one of the more popular ways to play the game, but today I decided to take a look at this kind of side mode and talk about how this could be improved very much. Now, if you guys do end up enjoying today's video, then as always, please make sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Also, if you like PUBG and you enjoy this kind of content, there's going to be plenty more when 2020 rolls around, so you're going to want to make sure you're here. And finally, all of my live streams are now over on Twitch, and many of you guys have followed over there. If you haven't done so already, that will be linked down below in the description. I stream over there almost every single day. It's kind of got crazy with the holidays, but I should be back to a regular schedule come January. Zombie mode, first of all, in PUBG is sort of hard to define exactly what it is, because as is my sentiment with a lot of the things in Battlegrounds, there are too many different fringe ways to play the game, so there's not really one consistent experience. There are zombie mode, zombie elimination, zombie survival, and zombie royale. All of these modes have a slight variation in the rule set, making it a little bit of a different experience, but the common denominator between all these modes, of course, is that they involve zombies. And I feel as if this is the first problem that needs to be addressed with the zombie mode. There really isn't any cohesive experience that someone can just jump on, play zombie mode, and expect to get their hands on. Of course, this is not the main reason why people play PUBG. This is not the mode that made it popular. This is something that's simply a rework of a lot of the assets in the game to make it sort of a fringe and interesting game mode, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned. There's a very small specific subset of players that really enjoy the zombie mode, but for the majority of mainstream players have never even touched this mode once, or maybe not even watched it. So before we can even get to any of these specific mechanics in the zombie mode and how I feel these could be made better, there first of all needs to be a consistent experience that the average player could expect to have when jumping onto zombie mode in PUBG. I feel like all of these side variations of zombies need to be consolidated into one mode, and then once we have that established and people know what they're going to be playing as soon as they click on the zombie mode, then we can talk about specific gameplay elements. And speaking of which, in this game that I'm playing right now, the idea is that there are 10 human players. The rest are zombies that are oddly enough not on the same team, right? You can see that I have 3 other people on my squad, and the rest of the zombies are all sort of like in their own squad, but we're still under the zombie umbrella. It's kind of strange. The humans loot and try to gather equipment as you do, and then try to survive the rest of the zone, and the zombies, of course, are trying to take the humans down as quickly as possible, with the circle kind of constricting it together, meaning that there's just going to be much less space for everybody. The basic idea of this, I think, is fine, although I believe there's room for improvement here. For example, if you're a human player and you die very early for whatever reason to a zombie, you're pretty much just out of the game. It doesn't work like a classic zombie infected mode where if you die, then you become part of the zombies until the game ends. This would give you something to do while the rest of your squad is playing and wouldn't just make you sit at the main menu or spectate. The human side of looting, however, is really interesting because obviously you fly in on the plane, you can land wherever you like. The zombies are already spawned into the battlefield before you even get there, and they can position themselves however they want. So there's this element of mystery and randomness, and you have no idea where a zombie's going to pop out at you at. And of course, you want to gather as much resources as possible before the zone closes and you have your first encounter with the zombies as well. Now, since these zombies are already spawned in from the beginning of the game and they kind of just run around looking for the humans, this is where I think my biggest problem with the mode is. There's honestly nothing for the zombies to do for the first like 20 minutes of the match. The zombies do have an increased jump height, and you can also run a little bit faster than typical humans as well. You cannot open doors, but you can punch them down, but other than that, there's really not much for you to do. I was thinking how interesting it would be if the zombies had an aspect of looting as well, which would require them to maybe develop some new assets because, of course, you wouldn't be gathering the same kind of loot that the humans would be, but maybe some type of items that could briefly increase your health, your speed, your ability to break down down doors or something like that, something that could provide a buff to the zombie character, because this was basically the thing that I noticed is the zombies are completely underpowered. Even in the ideal scenario where the zombie is able to close the gap of distance between him and the human and, you know, get up close and personal where they should be able to do some damage, the human is still going to win every time, and likely using anything at all, including their melee, would still beat the zombie. The only viable way to make the human players vulnerable, especially if they're not in a building, is to just hit them constantly with vehicles, which, thank God, the zombies can drive vehicles, but the problem here is that every single, like, end game turns into just an episode of Mad Max. And part of that can be interesting, right? Having these really chaotic vehicle battles in the middle of the map. There's a lot of fun in that, but I feel like as a zombie, there's a lot more that you should be able to do, some other options that you can exhaust and explore rather than just, you know, kamikazing a UAZ every single time. Zombies do not have their own melee animation, kind of like a zombie scratch. It's just the regular punch animation, and it doesn't seem to do hardly any damage at all, which, if you've been paying attention to this gameplay, and a couple more examples, you're gonna see, like, it really takes around a solid 20 seconds of meleeing from everybody to take down a human. The mode is also incredibly buggy as well. If you saw earlier in the gameplay, inside of buildings, like full doors, zombies can punch down and then, you know, fully break those and flood in. But if a human player shoots maybe the top or bottom of the door to, like, somewhat shatter it, but the door is not completely destroyed, then zombies can't break that at all. Like, that becomes essentially a lockdown door that is fully safe, and also you can shoot from since the door is missing. Now, that kind of thing would make sense if it were the other way around. Say a full door is zombie proof, but you can't shoot from it, and then maybe they can take it down after some time, but a broken door, the zombies can break down a lot easier, but you have the advantage of shooting from it. That would be the most logical way to go about it, but of course it's completely backwards in this mode. Another example, if a human player goes and sits in a vehicle like a UAZ or a Dacia, like in the back seat or whatever, the zombies cannot put any damage on them, and they basically have to just punch the car to death until they can get to the human player. Just a lot of examples like this where the mechanics of PUBG are clearly not cut out for a mode, or not specifically designed to play a zombie mode, and that's fine, but I think that this mode could be great with a couple of adjustments and tweaks. The first thing I would do to make this mode significantly better is give the zombies something to do in the early and mid game, especially some kind of looting aspect where they can gather maybe their own power-ups or some sort of items that will help them later, either with, you know, camping human players or ones in vehicles, just something that will make the game a little bit more interesting and balanced. I also think that doors could be reworked where they can be rebuilt by human players, but zombies can obviously tear them down quickly. This would end up bringing a real tower defense-like aspect to the game, which I feel like would do this game such a service. If you and your squad of human players were holding down a building and you have to do your best to keep all the doors and stuff boarded up, keeping the zombies out, that's all makes for super engaging gameplay. Perhaps the rate at which zombies can tear down doors is slightly faster than what humans can build, so for the human players, there's a lot of responsibility to be as efficient as possible, and eventually you're going to get overrun. I also feel like there needs to be way more for the zombies to do to vehicles rather than just simply punching them. Your only options as a zombie are to hit the other human cars or to just punch them to death, which can be really tedious and annoying, and if you run out of cars as the zombie and everything's blown up and destroyed, then you're going to lose. The blue zone also needs to move much quicker, in my opinion, and needs to do more damage to human players. The zombies can have maybe some resistance to the blue because it's the idea that the humans are the ones that need to stay alive, but also just needs to have overall less wait time because the matches that I played would drag on for like 30 or 40 minutes, and there was a lot of dull moments in the big portion of the middle of the match, so I really feel like that could be quickened up and the pace of the game could greatly be improved. And finally, I think this game could really benefit from having AI bots, either as zombies or human players, preferably as zombies so that everyone can start out as a human and, you know, enjoy those aspects of the gameplay, because one of the biggest problems is not a lot of people play this mode because it takes a long time for these queues to fill up. I had to play on the Asian server every single time just because there's none going in NA. Players should theoretically be able to jump into this mode by themselves or maybe just with 3 other friends just as their own squad and then play a zombies mode. Making the minimum amount of players at least 1 squad I think is a good idea just so people can enjoy the mode, and then obviously if there's more people in the queue and there's enough players on this, then you can fill them out with more humans and zombies to make the game a bit more dynamic, but it would still be incredibly enjoyable with bots, and I'm going to stand to that. We know there are some improvements with bots coming in 2020 most likely, and also the zombies mode has seen a lot of improvements since its conception. You can see that the zombie effects look pretty good. The way that your HUD and everything is designed is significantly better than it was, but I still feel like this mode has a lot of room for improvement and could genuinely be one of the gems of PUBG. It's super underrated. But in its current form, yeah, it is kind of a joke, and I wouldn't recommend most players try this at the moment just because of how inconvenient it is to even get in a game. I don't think the majority of players could find a match within 20 minutes. I really don't. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I know this is not a huge reason why a lot of people play PUBG and probably have never even given this mode a second thought, but I wanted to take a look at this anyways just because I know there are some fans of it, and I really haven't given this a shot before myself, at least in a long time, and so I wanted to see what sort of improvements were made and how things have progressed. The mode certainly does have a lot of potential, but it's lacking in a lot of key areas where I think could be improved, so hopefully that's going to be looked at in the future, and maybe we can get a little bit more of a consistent experience in zombie mode. Maybe go give it a try for yourself if you've never played it, and let me know what you think about it in the comment section. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I just wanted to give you guys my raw opinion and thoughts on this game mode because I know a lot of people wanted to understand what I thought about it, and I just hadn't played it in the longest time. It's got a lot of issues that hold it back from being an amazing mode, but the potential is certainly there, and I really hope they capitalize on that. So anyways, guys, make sure to drop a like rating on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are brand new. Also, make sure to go follow me on Twitch. Link is down below in the description, and I'll see you guys over there for the streams. But I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Have happy holidays, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I gotta go. I'll see you all soon, and peace out.